This is a really sad story. Iowa meteorologist resigns after receiving death threats from climate coverage. I take immense pride in having educated the public about the impacts of climate change during my career, says Chris Glonginger of the KCCI in Des Moines. The chief meteorologist for a news station announced Wednesday he is stepping down after receiving violent threats for his frank coverage of the climate emergency and how it could affect his viewers' lives, something he considered a mission as he regularly delivers news about the weather in Iowa to Iowa residents. Chris Glonginger joined the CBS affiliate station KCCI in 2021 after receiving recognition for his coverage of the climate crisis and in the environment at NBC 10 in Boston. He immediately set to work connecting the warming planet with rising sea levels, intense hurricanes, and other extreme weather events in his work on air. In recent reports, he told his audience that the wildfire smoke that envelops part of the U.S. this month was the result of the climate crisis. A lot of these fires are gaining steam and seeing explosive growth because of the warming planet, Glonginger told viewers earlier this week. Now, let's contrast that with another viewpoint, because we need to open this up for debate in the marketplace of ideas.
You're not going to believe this.
Okay.
So this is from April 26, 2016, this article.
Yeah.
Carbon dioxide fertilization greening Earth studies finds. What?
What does that mean?
Whoa, what? Did you hear all of this? This was a while ago. This was 2016. The website is still up, by the way, if you haven't seen. Yeah, here it is, everyone. It is climate.nasa.gov. News, April 26, 2016. CO2 is making Earth greener. For now, but greener. Greener's good. We like green.
Greenhouse gassing the Earth?
It means that we have more plants now on the Earth because of carbon dioxide. Well, sit back, Kurt.
Okay.
From a quarter to half of the Earth's vegetated lands has shown significant greening over the last 35 years, largely due to rising levels of atmosphere.
Deletion quarter, albedo. Are you going to bring science into this? The house of the feels? These are feelings, all right? Well, in this case, it's not actually feelings. This one's wild. This is not an old video.
Clean up your room.
This just came out, by the way. 1 day ago. 1 day ago. This, by the way, misinterpreting. He's really late to the races on this one. This misinterpreting of what NASA was saying at this point is like, it's almost cartoonishly laughable. Like there's a, like, I think even like I could put this one in the chat GPT and it would even explain to you, because it's not post 2021, about why like people stopped misinterpreting this data this way. Ganja got his dragon. Thank you.
According to a new study published in the
Clean up
Journal
your
of
room.
Nature Climate Change, April 25th, 2016.
Hmm.
An international team of 32 authors from 24
32?
institutions in
That's a
8
lot.
countries, that's a lot of numbers,
That it.
led the effort.
Jimmy, let me do my bits. Don't like, truth can't be stranger than fiction. Okay, I got to do my bits. You can't, if I'm making fun of you, you can't actually just like, then it's not a bit. It's not comedy. If you just do the thing that I'm saying. Whoa, numbers big. Wow.
which involved using satellite data from NASA's Moderate Resolution Imaging Spectrometer and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Advanced Very High Resolution Radiometer
Oh,
instruments to help determine the leaf area index. The leaf area index,
you hear
or
that?
the amount of leaf cover over the planet's vegetated regions.
Reasons, but
The greeting represents an increase in leaves on plants and trees equivalent in area to 2 times the content.
by the way, you know how it's been said, I don't know if it's an old proverb, but if you start to, diddle your wick inside of conspiracy theories, such as, 9/11 trutherism, mass shooting trutherism, anti-vax hysteria, stuff like that, you're eventually going to pal around with some folk who are climate change denialists. And so, like, it's usually a matter of time. There's probably some name for the rule on the internet where if you start spouting long enough about one thing, anti-vax, and anti-vax was obviously a big meal ticket for Jimmy, but he hasn't really cornered the climate change denial market. I don't know if he's seen like what RFK Jr. is kind of doing and like, getting in on his like corner of the market when it comes to anti-vax stuff. And now he's kind of saying like, maybe I can edge Jordan Peterson out of like the climate change denial light crowd. We'll bring up this old 2016 study from NASA.
Continental United States. So there is more green leaves on the planet now to the terms
2016.
of, yeah.
Do you remember?
But wait,
Yeah.
Is Kurt Metzger being the voice of reason here? Just so we're clear, this article is from 2016, right? I mean, it is 2023, correct?
there is more.
And by the way, that's not even the debunking of this. It's not that. It's just an old article and things have changed since then.
Plants and green leaves on the planet Earth
in 2016.
than there were 35 years ago. How many more? 2 times the size of the United States more green leaves. That's a lot of green leaves.
Why didn't I hear this in I think in 2016, I remember a politician saying, I don't remember which one, saying carbon dioxide is actually good because of something, and they sounded stupid. And were they talking about this NASA article?
Maybe that's what they were talking about. This is from NASA.
In the Journal of Climate Change. What?
Green leaves use energy from sunlight through photosynthesis to chemically combine.
Now, the thing with all conspiracy theories, and the reason they're very popular and why they even exist as a human phenomenon on large scales, is that it is a comfort device. It's more comfortable, and it's obviously just a form of, self-care to want to believe in a version of the world that you feel you have more control over. Right? Because when it comes to climate change, that's something that on a personal level, you really don't. We can all make an impact, and we all should, and we should all strive towards, especially passing very, very strict legislation, especially now. That's something that we can all work towards, absolutely. But on a micro level, sometimes there are things greater than you, especially just the large scale of, industrialization, as well as carbon monoxide emission by massive corporations that are super, super wealthy and powerful under capitalism with huge lobbying powers. All of that is a little bit out of your control in the day-to-day. So sometimes it is very scary to watch the results, especially seeing it happen in real time, and also see how it's destabilizing the planet already on early stages of watching what's happening. And there are scientists who have been telling us, okay, so we're going to predict what's going to happen then, and now we're at then, and they're like, hey, it's worse than we predicted, but we were right. And then you're like, yeah, okay, that's not great. And then they're like, so here's what then is going to look like, and it's even worse. And you're like, oh, okay, so if what you said was correct, in fact it was actually worse than your predictions, and then in the future it'll be infinitely worse than that, we should probably now listen, right? But then you get these little fucking jabronis, these jerk-offs who are now going to do this entire special. How many views do we already have here, Jimmy? We already have 115,000 views one day ago, 9.7, almost 10k likes. Yes, I assumed everyone knew that. CO2 is literally plant food. We all learned this in elementary school science class. How do people not know this? Gardeners have filled their greenhouses with CO2 for years. We all learned about the importance of CO2 to plant life in 6th grade. I grow plants for a living, and it's often the topic of discussion, the cycles that I run in. I firmly believe that hemp production is the solution to CO2. Okay, actually, this one's not too off base. You should actually plant vast amounts of hemp on the planet to be able to reduce the effects of climate change. I remember learning in middle school that the earth was drier during the ice age. Ugh, God. See, look where we're at. Completely off
And
the
carbon
rails.
dioxide drawn in from the air with water and nutrients tapped from the ground to produce sugars, which are the main source of food, fiber, and fuel for life on Earth. However, carbon dioxide fertilization isn't the only cause of increased plant growth. Nitrogen, land cover change, and climate change by way of global temperature, precipitation, and sunlight changes all contribute to the greening effect. To determine an extent of carbon dioxide's contribution, researchers ran the data for carbon dioxide and each of the other variables in isolation.
Mephistopheles has a great timeline here. Climate change isn't real. Climate change is natural. Climate change is good, actually. Climate change is inevitable, and it's too late to change it, so full steam ahead. Let's boil them frogs.
Through several computer models that mimic the plant growth observed in the satellite data. I'm not crazy about models.
Yeah,
Stats, numbers, don't like those things, but look at this. About 85% of the Earth's ice-free lands is covered by vegetation. The area covered by all green leaves of Earth is equal to, on average, 32% of the Earth's total surface area. Ocean lands and permanent ice sheets combined. Interesting. All right, so let's look back at this. You know what? Let's challenge ChatGPT on this one. I wonder if ChatGPT, let's use Woke GPT and see if Woke GPT can talk a little bit about this, because this came in 2016. They might have some interpretations before we go to other sources. It is important to clarify some misconceptions regarding the claim that a NASA study shows climate change will make the Earth greener and be a positive outcome. While it is true that climate change can have certain localized events or effects that result in increased vegetation in certain regions, this does not overshadow the overall negative impacts of climate change on a global scale. Here's a few key points to consider. Number one, the misinterpretation of research. Some people might misinterpret specific studies that highlight increased vegetation in certain areas due to factors like elevated carbon dioxide levels or lower growing seasons. However, these localized effects do not negate the wide-ranging detrimental consequences of climate change, including rising global temperatures, sea level rise, extreme weather events, and ecosystem disruptions. Some people might misinterpret specific scientific studies. Yeah, that tracks. Loss of biodiversity. Climate change poses a significant threat to global biodiversity. While certain plants might benefit from higher carbon dioxide levels, many other species, including crucial components of ecosystems such as coral reefs and various animal species, are highly vulnerable to climate change. The net loss of biodiversity and disruption of ecosystems far outweighs any localized greening effects. So, yeah. If someone dangles a bunch of shiny green keys in front of you, Jimmy, and is like, hey, by the way, these areas of the Earth will become greener as a result of an increase in carbon dioxide. Meanwhile, did you know that a slight change in the temperature of the ocean results in the deaths of hundreds of thousands of fish? Because guess what? When the temperatures are higher, the water can't hold oxygen as well, and they literally cannot breathe. You know how we know this? Because it already happened. There's already hundreds of thousands of dead fish just off the Gulf. Yeah, just floating there. Hundreds of thousands. It looks very apocalyptic, and it's actually quite explainable. We're going to see just increasingly horrifying events like this, just mass loss of biodiversity, because there's this whole thing called homeostasis. It's actually quite a delicate balance, and we all have to be really conscious of that, because there is also a whole bunch of things that can happen that will put things into perpetual motion that we won't be able to stop or slow down. And we're kind of already getting to that point. We made a deal. We were like, okay, scientists, we believe you. 1-5, all right? That's the naughty number. We shan't pass it. And then we were just like, whoa. And so we got right through there. And so now we're like, okay, we need a new naughty number. And then we also need to fix how we get rid of the other naughty number, because we need to go backwards a bit, but we can't get rid of the stuff that's already in here. We don't have a good carbon capture technique outside of, hemp and trees. Negative impacts on human systems. Climate change can also have severe implications for human systems. It leads to increased risks of droughts, floods, heat waves, extreme weather events, which can have detrimental effects on agriculture, water resources, human health, and overall socioeconomic stability. These consequences far outweigh any potential benefit to localized greening. Again, if you get so excited about local amounts of greenery are increasing, look at the green keys. Well, yes, but there's still detrimental impacts around the world. You see, it's a contained little marble. It's all in one, just not a whole bunch of different marbles just playing off by them. It's just one Earth, and so there's a whole ecosystem that you gotta put into consideration, not just the shiny greening effects. Feedback loops and tipping points. Climate change can trigger feedback loops and tipping points that exacerbate its impact. For example, the melting of polar ice caps reduces the Earth's albedo, causing further warming. Further feedback loops can lead to uncontrollable and irreversible consequences, which cannot be offset by localized greening effects. Again, stop being distracted by the shiny green. Scientific consensus on negative impacts. The overwhelming consensus among climate scientists is that climate change poses a grave threat to the planet and human well-being. Numerous scientific studies, including reports from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, provide robust evidence of the detrimental impacts of climate change, from rising temperatures to sea level to ecological disruptions and increased vulnerability to natural disasters. But like I said, it was a matter of time, right? And the shitty thing is, now we live in an age where people get, their what the fuck is happening? People get their information from the internet, and they get their information from Twitch streamers, podcasters. And we are accountable, but to, I guess, our audience, getting basically our own fans to be like, hey, by the way, that's pretty off base, Lance. You shouldn't have said that. Climate change is real. I'm like, no, the Earth is flat, you fools. I am the one true prophet. But when you've already got a fan base like Jimmy Dore does, and I doubt he's really accountable to his fans. I'm sure he's accountable to money. I'm sure if he ever started losing Patreon supporters or advertising revenue, then he'd actually take a step back. But I don't think he goes through his live chats or his comments. I don't think he reads about this kind of stuff. I don't think he's just beholden to people like, Jimmy, what the fuck are you a climate change denialist now? Do you know how dangerous this shit is?
I mean, it's probably our company's screwing up.
Probably our company's doing it anyway. That's right.
Like Donziger had to be on house arrest.
So look at that. Turns out, but it is safe and effective, and carbon dioxide certainly is the enemy.
Wow. So that's weird. I thought plants, because back in the day,
you would think
they said, oh, we need those plants for the carbon. It turns out they're not as effective.
I just want to see what this ad is.
So I don't know if you're into this kind of stuff. It's the Field of Greens. It's so what this is, it's a powder you put in water, you mix it, or you can put it in a smoothie or whatever. They give you this, they give you a little scooper. You take a scoop of this and you put it in, shake it up, or whatever. You can make a smoothie, whatever you want. But it's real food. So they
it's just catnip for libertarians.
They know the right foods, like the vegetables and fruits, and they somehow turn it into a powder.
Okay, I want to see you drink it. Did you not drink it, Jimmy? Oh, what a coward. You won't even stand by your own product?
Yeah. And
I know it's not literally his product, but I mean, they paid him to advertise this. I would say, eat the powder, Jimmy. It's part of the contract, Jimmy. You signed the contract. You have to eat the powder on your show.
She's a mom, so she can't lie. She's not a mom. That's a joke.
Doesn't feel like a joke. Just feels like a weird statement you made. Maybe has a little bit of history behind it. Odd, weird thing to say.
So if you want, so here's where you do. You go to fieldofgreens.com.
No, we're okay. I was hoping you'd eat the powder, but I feel like you will not deliver. Do you enjoy the Serfs, but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
Thank you kindly to our Lord and Saviors Peyton L. Just and Xander Corvus. Without you, we are nothing. And now, a shout out to our Knights of the Square Table. Amazing Flesh, Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, DM Rivera, Doug Cady, Everything Important, Hegbard Celine, Izzy Solidarity, La Media Panza, Matthew Scarborough, Multimondi, Nettle, Omni, Peanut Butter Blonde, Political Papi, Quiet 185, Rachel K, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Kubi, Cernicus, Spinach Monster, Stellar Vision, Sebastian Demmel, Thomas, Trevbot EXE, Lucidry, Words Greenwood, Cheryl Alvarez, Tony Perkins, Thomas, O'Pecker, Travis McClinton, and Victoria Bell. Thank you so much. And a huge shout out to all the other people who make this entire show possible. Without you, it would not exist. If you can support us, please go to patreon.com/theserfs, and even $1 can help unlock all of the little goodies and help make this show entirely possible.